Ladies and gentlemen, please rise, would you? Because it is now time, ladies and gentlemen, for the graduation of Mr. Trey. Trey, the visual learner, that's exactly what he is. Well, the thing's not working, for God's sakes, play my music. Unbelievable. I'm having one of those days. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hear ye, by the power vested in me as Sweet Bobby. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you for his doctoral thesis, Mr. Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hey, Bobby.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. Apologize for the technical difficulties. It's hard being on this side of the industry. But anyway, Trey, y'all, you're going to love Trey's story. Trey, tell us where about your trading journey. We want to know where you started. Was you a tasty trader like a lot of us? Were you with Ed over at Theta Trade? I mean, what's your background?
It's many and sorted. I did have a journey through Tasty Trade for a while. I've been through simpler trade. I mean, my journey, I'm that kid in junior high that had a subscription to Wall Street Journal and Forbes and started buying stocks back then, and have traded just about every way you can possibly trade, about every instrument you can possibly trade during this whole time. So, and
as far as your life outside of trading, tell us who Trey is.
Well, I'm a recovering attorney. I've been recovering for about 45 years. And most recently, I'm general counsel of a startup here in Austin, Texas, that's doing pretty well. And I'm getting ready to go part-time, start next week. And I was looking to replace my income, and I started this exploration, which led me to Sweet Bobby in this room about 3 or 4 months ago. I watched 40 videos and ran across the guy that spoke really highly of you, and the need for a community when you trade, which really resonated with me. So I saw Candy's graduation ceremony interview and was so inspired by that, I set some time with you and to talk to you about the mentorship deal. And that's how I got here.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're here. So that's great. And the cool thing is trading is a lonely endeavor, isn't it? I mean, it really is. So it's good I'm sure, to find a community.
It is. And this is a great community. I'm really enjoying the community and the interaction of the think tank aspect of it, and the research, everything. This is really exciting and super cool.
Now, y'all know I'm very humble and very, reserved. I'm very quiet. But Trey, tell everybody how much you made in day one of your mentorship with Sweet Bobby.
The first day we started doing this, Bobby was helping me put on trades, and
don't talk too much. Just give me a number.
$7,900.
$7,900 in his first day. And Trey, tell everybody what Bobby had to do with that. I've been waiting to do this the whole time. That's the funniest part. I had zero to do with it. Zero.
It was actually a good, I sold out of it, half of that position. It was in a stock, and put my money all into this other account so we could track the options. So I think you got me out at a good point. We'll give you the credit for that.
Well, I was sitting there the whole time going, wow, this is awesome. You made $8,000 in a day. I said, we got to tell everybody that. But no, I had nothing to do with it at all. But it's kind of cool to see everybody in the mentorship so far. So we had Ed first, then we had Candy, and they're both here today. And then we had Trey come up. And these three people are wildly successful in their lives. I mean, you were successful in business and in life and in saving and investing and all kind of things. And as far as went with trading, though, how would you compare trading and trying to get a hold of trading and at least understand and be, proficient in it compared to going through college and law school and all that?
Oh man, I mean, I've always been a grinder. I would just try to learn stuff and grind away at it till I got it. And when I started looking for a way to kind of replace the income this year, I I was concerned because I read a really good article about you need to know an edge. You need to have an edge. You need to know your edge. And I really didn't know that I had an edge. You know, like I said, I'd done a lot of things and most of them were pretty nerve-wracking. And I made money and lost money. It's, you know, all over the map. But here, you know, I think we actually have an edge and a way to apply it. And I think this tool you built is, you know, a beautiful structure, and there's, you know, you can adapt it to whoever you are and however you view the market and turn knobs to where it suits you. And so I'm really excited about being here and doing this.
So with Trey, we kind of took him on a visual journey, because we figured out that, and I normally try to do a lot of visualization exercises with everybody in the mentorship anyway, but he's a very, very visual learner. So we use a lot of visualizations. For example, Trey, tell everybody who you are if you meet somebody at a cocktail party and they go, "Oh, excuse me, sir, how do you engage your days?" What do you tell people?
Well, I do quantitative analysis to find edges in the market and extract profits from the markets.
I mean, he didn't say anything about options. He just says, I quantitatively extract profits from financial markets. I mean, how much better does it get? So it's really, really good. And one of the things that we kept going and going and going is that Trey is he is a wildly successful trader. He is a wildly successful trader. And in doing so, his success does not come from the profits and loss. It comes through what, Trey?
The process.
The process. So talk to us about the process and everything that we went through with the process.
Well, one thing, Bobby, you know, and I thank you for this. Bobby, your psychology game is really strong, and you helped me more than you know, will probably ever know psychologically with my trading, getting my mindset right, getting me straightened out, getting me focused on the right things to think about. And I can tell a marked difference in the way I approach the markets now versus then. And I forgot the first part of the question.
I did too, so don't worry about it. I was just like, you know, how I don't know what I was saying. But your approach to the markets, do you fear the market?
Oh, and yeah, so then we get to the process.
Yeah, the process.
You know, and you know, I'm a big fan of Coach Saban. You are too. We looked at some of the Coach Saban's videos and how he talks about the process. And you trust the process, you execute the process, you keep your eye on that, you do that, and then results, you know, are going to be what they are. And if you have to adjust anything, you adjust, you know, your system, your approach, but you keep executing the process. That's also part of the process.
Yeah. So we took Coach Saban, and y'all probably heard our class together on, you know, Nick Saban taking a 60-minute ball game and turning it into a 7-second play. So at first, your execution on your trading day, placing your trades, doing the spreadsheet, you were kind of like a newborn baby deer, right? I mean, you were kind of stumbling a little bit, but talk about what happened through the mentorship and how you are with your execution today.
Well, you know, my execution of my 1-1-1s is really strong. I've been here at a kind of a pivotal time. There's been quite a bit of development of our approach and how we do this thing during the, you know, I'm very fortunate to have been here during this period of time. I feel like I was here at a great time. But like getting on the sweet Bobby hedges and all, I'm kind of back to the baby deer stage a little bit on that one. But the 1-1-1s I can execute. You know, it doesn't take me 10 minutes every morning. I get on there and go through my net lick, do my Greeks, go to my trade thing, record my trades, you know, just do the whole thing, the process, I execute the process. And my results have been, you know, kind of bordering on spectacular. It's like,
yeah, that's one of our things that Ed and I talked about, is that you entered the mentorship at just the right time, because with all the major developments that we've had of late, which all have just elevated the strategy, I mean, you came in at a great time.
I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the cool things that Trey said that we needed to talk about, we're not bragging and we're not talking account sizes and all that kind of stuff, but not only did Candy, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Candy made enough during the 6 weeks that she went through the mentorship to totally pay for her mentorship. Now she would have probably made more if I hadn't throttled her down. Let's be honest with that. We slowed Candy down quite a bit. She was quite the risk taker and still is to some extent, but she made plenty enough to cover the cost of the investment in the mentorship. And unless your profit and loss has changed a lot today, Trey, I think you could probably say the same.
Oh, I can definitely say the same. Quite a bit more than the cost.
Yeah. So, which is good, right? If you're looking at a cost benefit analysis. Now, you would have probably made it anyway, but it's just neat to see somebody. And the cool thing about Trey, y'all, he had a lot of things where he would do this. I would tell him something and he would just sit back and he looks up because he's looking into his head to see it. And you would just see this. Oh, I mean, you had several aha moments. Do you recall any of them as we were going through our sessions?
Oh man, I had, well, a number of them. I mean, one of the things that we did in this program, which, I'd traded options before, but it's been a while, and getting grounded in theta and deltas and vegas and all that was a foundational piece of the mentorship that I really appreciated. And that's where I spent a lot of my time kind of doing little visuals and things to make sure I understood them. But I feel like I understand them now in a way that I never did before.
Yeah, it was cool, like to see, if your deltas are this and the market moves 1 point, you were like, wow, I didn't know that. So it was just really cool. It was cool watching your face, when you would find out.
Yeah, like one day we were talking and I noticed that day you had negative deltas running. You, I think, had taken off a bunch of put debit spreads or something. And I had a bunch of positive deltas running and the market went up and you went down, and I was going, oh, okay. I understand why that happened the way it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just pretty cool.
So, Trey, do you mind sharing some of your visuals? I thought this is cool. I think you guys are going to love some of the visuals he came up with.
Whatever you want.
Share your screen. I think I've got it fixed where you share it. But he was really visual, y'all. I mean, he did a fantastic job. Y'all remember from Candy's graduation, Candy was more like, hey, this is a racetrack, this is cars, this is a garage, we got fuel in the engines. She was very automotive. Trey, you were a little bit different. You used kind of a different thing. So kind of talk us through some of your visualizations.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop sharing your screen. Okay. Tell me when you can see that.
Okay.
I call it an opus because Bobby and I were talking about Mr. Holland's opus.
Yeah, Mr. Holland's opus. That's good.
When we first started this deal. Now, what would you like me to?
Well, just kind of go through it, especially like well, number one, tell everybody what your theme song was. I think that's cool. That's the first thing we always do with anybody, right? We always say, hey, let's get us a theme song. Let's get us a song. Tell us about your song.
That was interesting. My theme song was, can you see this? The Somewhere Over the Rainbow by the Hawaiian singer. And, it's a beautiful song. And I've had a long connection with the Wizard of Oz. So it worked for me.
Yeah, and it was cool, right? I was like, oh yeah, I've heard that. But there was something in the song that meant something to you. Tell them about that. That's kind of cool of why it was your song. Not just because you were familiar with it, but it actually means something to you, right? I mean, if you were to hear it during a bad trading day, it'd probably lift you up.
Well, I grew up in a small southern town with a very rigorous religious raising, and I never got to see the whole Wizard of Oz until I went away to college, because we went to church on Sunday nights, and it only came on Sunday nights, and it only came on once a year. And so I had my brother call me when I was 40 years old saying Wizard of Oz is on tonight, so it's something that I had a huge affinity for. And I don't know, it was, according to my homework, it was something that just worked for me.
So then you also developed this visual on slide number 3 and 4 there, kind of to go through that with us.
Yeah, so one of the things he wanted to kind of visualize your trading or your life as a piece of art. And I've got, anyway, this has all kind of meaningful things to me. I've got the owl at the top is kind of an owl of protection because I'm been kind of a risk mitigator my entire life professionally. And the tetrahedron is the a symbol of integrity, and the smallest unit that encloses space in the universe. And then the inside is just kind of everything that's good in the world, all your family, your friends, your loved ones, everything that's good and perfect.
And I thought, wow, what a great thing to put in your trading plan, right? In his overall plan, just, as you're flipping through the slides, just something to kind of come up. Let's just kind of go through some of your slides. Is that okay? So click on number
Sure.
4. You actually put some things there.
Yeah, this is when I started on, trying to visualize the 1-1-1 strategy, because that's where we started off. And so then I kind of could see all these little sailboats and this island of profit here.
Look at that, y'all. Isn't that cool? I mean, that was something I never saw. I saw, a whale or an elephant, and you see little flags with little ships, and you see a mountain behind it. And kind of flip between the two because you go, wow, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, so it's a harbor, and let me see what else I got. And then I started using the pawn analogy, the chess analogy, to describe the put debit spread and the naked put. And then I had this house of matches, because a naked put with no put debit spreads like a house with no insurance or king with no pawns.
Yeah, it's like we don't want to pay that $10 for that put debit spread. But when the fire comes or the grind down market comes, we're so glad that we put that on, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife just texted me, and she just sent me a picture of her and Dennis Quaid, and I said, "Well, you're gonna have some explaining to do." She said, "I totally forgot I dated him." So
your wife dated Dennis Quaid? What?
I don't know. I gotta get to the bottom of that one.
Yeah, you need to search that out. If we need to get the Muscadine Mafia on Dennis, I mean, we're all for it. We'll travel out to Texas.
Okay.
All right, so let's go on with some of your slides. Some more
Okay,
slides.
and then I just kind of, we talked about the psychology, and the way I have this one thing on theory, because I looked at the markets are considered to be a complex adaptive system. And I think what we're doing here with the 1-1-1 and the Sweet Bobby Hedge and the triple nickel donkey is we're building a complex adaptive system with an edge that takes profit from the complex adaptive system that's the market. And that, I really like the symmetry of that. I really like that. It's kind of a cool idea. And we talked about the importance of accepting negative metrics if you want to outperform any consensus. And there's examples of, the NBA Rockets started shooting more 3-pointers than anybody else. And then that became the orthodox way of approaching things. We accept the negative metrics that are associated with selling naked puts. You've heard a million times, don't sell a naked put, never sell a naked put, you're gonna lose everything. But if we do it in a smart way, we're able to outperform.
And talk about the Spain with the football team, the soccer team there. That was kind of cool too.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like Spain was willing to pull a goal scorer, the striker off the field and put on an extra defensive man. And it created a bunch of opportunities for them that weren't otherwise there. And they ended up, there's trade-offs and everything. We talked about the gimmies and gotchas. But our way of approaching this thing is maybe a little unorthodox from the standard perspective, but it sure works.
Trey, can you go into presentation mode? Dwayne wanted to know if you'll do that so that everything will be a little bit
bigger,
clearer. Yeah,
I can try that. How do you do that?
I wish I knew exactly. Go to slideshow. Yeah,
I'd
slideshow.
show.
And then go from current
Current
slide.
slide.
There we go.
Is that
There
better?
we go. Yeah, just hit your space bar, I think, and it'll go through the.
Okay. And then I built this for the VIX hedge. I do a lot of teeter-totter stuff because of the interactions with these things. Talked about Theta, learned a lot about Theta, and my visuals for Theta were, you start off with a balloon that's, it's not going anywhere because it doesn't have any helium or anything in it. And you start filling it up and you get it up to the right spot. You can't overfill it so that if bad stuff happens, you end up busting. But if you do it right, you're going to stay in a sweet spot there that works for you. We talked about directional risk and delta. I just, like I said, built teeter totters that show the risk of a short put goes down when the market goes up. And, and vice versa, risk goes of the delta goes up when the market goes down. These are just things I was doing to drown myself in some of these, foundational pieces here. We talked about Vega and volatility being the only asset class that reverts to mean. I mean, it's just been a great experience. I've learned a lot. I've, enjoyed it, enjoyed the interactions. I've had lunch with a buddy of mine today that's ready to sign up. So
awesome.
I need to send him some stuff. He wants to go through the same program.
Yeah, wonderful.
So anyway, then we have how to respond to buying power violations. And so I built a visual for that. If buying power goes up too much, these are the options I can do to start reducing and leveling the thing out.
See, I just love this. I mean, I really do. You did a great job with your visuals. How many more do you got here?
I think that's about it.
Is that about it? Yeah.
I think.
Now, you also did your trading plan in another document. Does that have anything that would be worthwhile for us to see?
It probably not. I mean, it was a version ago because I haven't caught up with yours. Like things have been fast and furious in the room.
The last week or two, it's been
fast and furious, and it's also been my life has been a little bit topsy-turvy for the last week. We went through a big reduction in force at the company I work at, and that's been kind of consuming. And I've pretty much been able to keep up with the trading because it only takes me about 15-20 minutes a day. So.
And I think we talked about this too. Or you kind of like me and Ed and a lot of the people in our group, Candy probably too, when you lie down at night and you start thinking about all these things, right? And what are you thinking about when you lie down at night and you just kind of sit there and go, what is this that we're doing? Yeah.
I've always, it seems like I'm always, my head's spinning, thinking about what we can do, what I'm going to explore next. Because I feel like this is a, amazing thing to begin with. But there's some areas I want to explore. I want to see how hot I can run it. I want to see if I can, there are other markets that I can apply to as I grow it. I've got, some funds that I want to grow this into. And it's just really exciting.
And so when you kind of step away from the attorney type job, or are you planning on, is it your plan to fully trade for a living, or that's kind of your deal,
This
right?
is gonna be my main focus in my life.
And that starts
for the next 10 years, let's say.
And that starts when?
Starts next week.
Isn't that cool, y'all? I mean, so our man here is like, hey man, and do you feel you've got the confidence to do that now?
I do, and I feel like I've got a good grounding in what we're doing so far, and I like I said, I love the room. I've enjoyed the interactions with Ed. Ed has been very helpful.
Don't tell him that; it'll go to his head.
Well, you can try to keep it from him, but he's really been good. And I've enjoyed watching Ed and Evan do their thing, and it's just this whole room has been a great exposure. I'm really enjoying it.
Good said, thank you, Trey. Yeah, it's a great guy. I just give him crap, I pick at him all the time. So what's next for you? I mean, I wouldn't say we ever get to a point where we say we've got it all. I mean, we're
No,
always learning and exploring and doing things when we try not to chase shiny objects. But how do you envision yourself 5 years from now in this trading world? I mean, share with us a visualization of where you see yourself in 5 years.
well, in 5 years, I will have, next step is to scale this thing up. Because, it took me a while to, when you start into this process, you've got to start layering them on. So I've kind of got to where I've got pretty much a full set on, not quite. I don't think I've reached 0.1% Theta, but one day. So it's like, and then now I'm going to kind of grow and I never got over to, I think, 20% of my account usage. So it's, I've got a ways to go. I need to scale this thing up and then add more money to the account and grow this thing. So I can see exploring that, and then also exploring some other markets as I grow this thing bigger and bigger. I mean, I think this will be my, pretty much my full-time focus, my part-time full-time focus, because I don't think it takes full-time, but although my head will probably be spinning on it pretty much full-time for the next 5 years. And I can see, creating a nice legacy for my kids, and, just really enjoying the whole interaction, hopefully getting to a point where I can contribute into this room like like Ed and Evan and some of these other folks do. There's some really good people here, smart people.
Well, and one of the things that I wanted you to get to a point where you would believe that you're a wildly successful trader. And I believe you are a wildly successful trader, because you've had to, through our time together, you've had to have dealt with talk to us about the three emotions that I'm always talking about, the things that are there to derail us: the fear, the greed, and the envy. How have those played, and how have you been dealing with any of those that might fester up from time to time?
Well, I mean, I don't think the envy plays any part in that for me. I've never really kind of worried. I've always been happy for other people's success, and I love seeing the fact that, you have successful people in here. So that's a good thing. The fear and greed part, I haven't, that's one of the edges, one of the boundaries I want to explore is, where is my fear part? Because, so far it's just focusing on the process, and the fear hadn't really come into it. I imagine the greed's going to raise its head if I keep being successful as I've been during this mentorship, because we'll see how far I take it. Right now I'm thinking about, if I can do what I want to do, I want to get some Roth IRAs set up for my kids, because at this rate of return, running that for 10 years for them, they'll end up having something.
And that was one thing you were talking about. This gives you something to talk with your kids about. You've been talking with your son about trading when you're at the gym, right? And we don't know if he's going to take off in it, but it gives you something to talk about with people.
It does. And I love talking about this stuff, and that's the other thing about trading. When, most people, we don't have a community like this where you can talk to people about it and they don't think you're crazy, because that's all you want to talk about. And it's hard to work all this into a conversation a lot of times, but
yeah, most people's eyes just glaze over, right, when we're talking about this stuff. You start flipping out theta and vega and gamma and all that kind of stuff. They kind of scares people. Any questions or comments for Trey y'all would like to share? You can either type on, or you can hit your space bar, anybody, and speak with Trey. Y'all don't be shy. He'd love to answer questions, or if you just got something you want to say to him, that'd be great too.
Hey, Trey. I'd just like to make a comment and say that was just like me and my dad when I was a little bit younger. We would talk about the market, the gym and stuff like that. And it's really funny, like how you said, when you really appreciate the community, because, everyone likes to talk about the stock market, but then when you bring up derivative type products, no one really understands that. And Yeah, I just want to say that. And also, I really like the visuals as well. I'm not as much a visual learner, but I really like the boat thing. That kind of stuck with me.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, it's great when you have somebody to do that with, isn't it?
I think your wife even probably learned some terms while we were going through, which was good.
Yeah, she probably just enough to be super dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. I know Ed's wife Mo, she can talk a little gamma to you every now and then. She works it out, which is a good thing. All right, anyone else got anything to say to our friend Trey here? Gary says, such a beautiful story, Trey. Really excited for you.
Well, I'm excited for all of us. I think we're on to a good thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, Trey, I hereby confer onto you, by all the power vested in me at Trader Nerds University, the distinguished honor of being a graduate of our mentorship. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Bauer.
And we got to figure out if we want your diploma with your full name on it, or if you want your Jack True on it or whatever. So you just message me that and we'll certainly do that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Will
so
do.
we can do that. Awesome.